Hey yo, what's good reader fam? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you episode 3 of Bookstore, the series here on my channel where I lead you through a bookish store. Let's kick it off with our reader oath. On today's episode of Bookstorm, Jesse promises to drink from the well of books and then spit out everything he drank up into video form. Say what? He'll make sure to talk books in an obsessive manner and do his best to break through the reading slumps that some of you may be facing. Signed, Jesse the Reader. Next up, we've got our book quote fortune of the week. It's time for an author's words to enrich our lives. This quote is going to set the tone for today's episode. No pressure, except all the pressure. This one. 3, 2, 1. So satisfying. Our book quote fortune of the week comes from a favorite of mine, and it says, "Doubt is the pinprick in the life raft," from Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. Is anybody else feeling a little attacked by this quote right now? That quote came through and smacked me in the face, giving me a reality check. I guess the tone we're setting for today's episode is be attacked by book quotes. I will say that this does occur often for me. I feel like I needed this quote this week, honestly, because I've been going through this phase in my life where I am just insecure about every little thing, but specifically about the things that I'm creating. I have become so insecure and I hate it. And this just hit a little too close to home. He took the hammer, placed it right on the target, aka me, and hammered that nail in. My life raft keeps getting deflated. My confidence keeps getting deflated. And now I know what's probably causing it. That dang self-doubt pinprick. I go through seasons where I'm hard to break down, and then I go through seasons where I just crumble at the smallest things. And I'm going through the small things crumble me season right now. So the thing is, how do we avoid this? How do we overcome this? And I guess the only answer that I have for that is honestly pretty challenging to do, and that's to dig deep and to realize what we're capable of and to remember who you are and to be sure and confident of who you are. That way when the doubt pinprick is thrown your way, it doesn't puncture your life raft. Next up, we've got recent book pickups, and this portion of the video is sponsored by HarperCollins. First up, we've got Coral by Sarah Ella, who is actually a booktuber. Shout out to booktubers writing books. We stan. This is actually not Sarah's first book. She's written the Unblemished series as well. This is a new book by her though, called Coral, which I feel like this cover is pretty telling of what this book is going to be about. If you're looking at the cover inserts and you can't tell what it's going to be about, then let me point you in the right direction. It's got some mermaid vibes happening up in here. I've not read many books with mermaids in them. I've definitely read books where there are mermaids a part of the plot in some way, but I've never read a book where a character is a full-on mer creature, so I'm really looking forward to that with this book. This book actually follows several different stories and then ties them together with a nice bow of words. First up, we've got our character Coral, who is the mermaid, and apparently she's a pretty vital character with the fact that this book was named after her. Do I sniff an author playing favoritism with their characters? I'll let it slide this time, but only because Coral is a mermaid. The mermaid society that Coral is a part of under the sea is kind of the society where you have to fit in. Everybody has to kind of blend in together in order for you to fit in. And while Coral is doing her best to just kind of blend in with everybody and trying not to be different, she's hit with a disease that's carried by humans. What could that be? Emotions. Apparently it's not okay to feel all the feelings under the sea. The next storyline that we follow is Brooke, who is dealing with depression and anxiety, and both of these things have left her in an isolated state. And then finally we have the character Merrick, who after his sister died by suicide, he wants nothing more than to leave his controlling father behind him and find his mother and live with her. So he sets out on the goal on trying to track down his mother in hopes that finding her will make things better. These three worlds collide and they try to help each other through these rough situations. If you couldn't tell, this story really dives deep into the topic of mental health, which I think is really cool. I really love that topic. I love that it's being explored more in books because it's a super important topic to be explored, because I know that many of us deal with those kind of things on a day-to-day basis. This is also a twist on The Little Mermaid, probably less a twist on the Disney movie version of Little Mermaid, and more so the Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, which I'll be honest, reading this will probably make me fall into a hole of nostalgia and I'll be wanting to watch The Little Mermaid. But thank the heavens I caved and got Disney Plus. Did anyone else? I have no regrets, I think. It sounds like this book also has friendship at the core of it all, and that's one of my favorite things in books. The power of friendship. We have these people coming together, leaning on each other, being there for each other, and fighting through their issues. That book trope can show up in every book ever, and I'd eat that right up. My next book pick is Our Story, which is a memoir of love and life in China. This is a translated Chinese graphic novel with Chinese traditional art. I came across it while browsing books online, and the second I saw it, I was like, I gotta have it. Self-control went out the window, and the next thing I I knew, the mailman was delivering this book to me. I swear I felt like I blacked out and this book just randomly appeared. This story was actually written after the passing of this guy's wife. He wanted to document the beginning of their relationship and the life that they shared together. So it not only documents the lives that they shared together, but it showcases the things that happened surrounding their relationship in China, from cultural shifts to political elements. I just kind of found the concept of this book to be so pure. Like, he loved his wife so much that he wrote a freaking book about their life together. Like, how pure is that? Obviously, it's a little sad because he wrote it after the passing of his wife, but the fact that he had so much love for her that he wrote this dang book about their love, like, precious! Someone give this man the Husband of the Century award. Overall, I really want to start reading more memoirs, so if you guys have any recommendations, hit me up down below in the comments. I will say I'm not huge on celebrity memoirs, so keep that in mind when recommending me some. Next up, we've got Bookish Topic Breakdown, and this portion of the video is sponsored by Simon & Schuster. I went over on my Instagram, at jessethereader if you want to follow me, asked you guys to submit bookish topics for me to discuss, and I'm going to be discussing some today. Let's get to it. Oop, it's fine. I'll get it later. I'll take this one. This one reads, how to get motivated to start reading a book you've been putting off. I don't know how to help you when I can't even help myself with this issue, but I'll try my best. Here we go. I will say that you should never feel pressured to read a book because I feel like that just kind of takes out the enjoyment of the overall reading experience, so don't feel pressured to read a book if you're feeling pressure at all. Wait till you're not feeling pressured, I guess? I don't know. It just should be a natural, organic thing for you to gravitate towards that book. Unless you have to read it for school, then I can't help you there. Like, you gotta read it. But if you truly want to read a book, then you will organically gravitate towards that book and you'll pick it up and read it. I guess it's not always true because there are those books that like I really desperately want to read, but for some reason, whatever reason it is, I just put them off. I set them aside and I wait till the right moment to read them. Why is that a thing? I'm not really sure. Actually, I know why. I know why it's a thing. It's because I'm a mood reader. I hate being a mood reader. Honestly, it's not that fun. I've put off so many books because it's just not the right time to pick it up and read it, which is so stupid. It holds me back from reading so many books and I'm so upset about it. Can you tell? I am upset. Anyway, I'm really not helping you out here, am I? I would say go read some reviews, specifically read 5-star reviews. Those reviews generally are like people who are super excited about that book, and reading their excitement might get you interested in reading that book, you feel? Maybe look up some book quotes from that book on Goodreads and see if any of those quotes like really spark your interest and get you intrigued about the book. And maybe just try to remember what it feels like to read a book and reach the end of that book. Remember that massive, overwhelming feeling of joy that you get when you finish a book, and maybe that will push you to pick up the book and read it. The next topic is one that I actually came up with, and it's inspired by the book Cursed by Thomas Wheeler with illustrations by Frank Miller, which I'll talk more about this book in a second, but I've been thinking about how there are some books on my TBR that are straight up cursed. Either something inside of me is holding me back from reading these books, aka the fact that I'm a freaking mood reader, or sometimes I'll pick them up, get halfway into them, and get distracted by another book, and then there are other times when there's really no reason at all. There's no reason I haven't read the book, and yet every time I think about reading it, an excuse pops in my head. So I'm going to share with you my top 3 TBR books that are currently cursed. First on my list is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. Now the reason that I feel like this book is cursed is because I feel like I've just waited too long to read this book. Like, I feel like nobody is going to want to talk to me about this book once I read it. Like, I feel like I put it off for far too long. Catty-tastic is screaming right now, I'm sure. I just feel like I'm going to read it and it's going to be like crickets, crickets, crickets. Nobody's going to want to talk to me about these books. I'm also kind of over here like, did I lose interest in this story? Is that the reason I haven't picked it up yet? It's been on my shelf for a long time, guys. Like, a long time. It's bad. It's bad how long it's been on my shelf, and I've just been letting it sit there crying under this mask because I haven't laid my hands on it and picked it up and read the story inside of it. I'm sorry, book. Hopefully some commenters will, convince me to read it. Next on my list is The Well of Ascension, the second book in the Mistborn trilogy. I've read the first book, but the thing is, I read the first book like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I can't remember. But the thing is, I can't remember much of what happens in the first book. Like, I remember the basics, I remember how the magic system works, I remember the characters and whatnot, but like, I feel like there are some vital plot points that I don't remember that I feel like will affect my enjoyment of reading this book. Also though, I feel like I just kind of have commitment issues when it comes to Brandon Sanderson's books because I'm so intimidated. Like, there's so much to his universe, like all the books kind of connect in some kind of weird way, and like it's kind of over my head a little bit and I'm just really intimidated, so I've been putting off kind of carrying on with his books. Also, all of his books are freaking bricks. This isn't even that big of a brick. Like, this is pretty decent size for him. Like, this is pretty slim when it comes to Brandon Sanderson, but his other books are thick. They're so thick that they just scare me. I'm scared.
Terrified.
Having nightmares over here about big books. I thought I was a part of that whole I like big books and I cannot lie thing, but maybe I'm not. Last on my list, we have the Heroes of Olympus series, which I feel like y'all are tired of me talking about the fact that I haven't read this series yet. I'm tired of the fact that I keep talking about the fact that I haven't read this series yet. But you know what? I've tried. And every time I try, I get a decent amount of the way through. Like, look, this has a freaking bookmark in it. I've tried. And yet, I still haven't read it. I still haven't read the series, and I genuinely don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me, but something's not clicking when I'm trying to read this book, because every time I try to read it, I get, you know, a decent amount of the way through. Like, this is bookmarked on page 119, okay? That's me making a commitment to the book, but I haven't finished it yet. What's wrong with me? I don't know if it's the pressure of the fact that it's a Rick Riordan book, and like, what if I don't like it? Will y'all hate me? Probably. Is it the fact that it doesn't feel like a Percy Jackson book, and that's what's bothering me? I don't know. I don't know what it is, but these 3 books are cursed. They're cursed on my TBR. Now I'm going to tell you about the book that inspired this topic. This book is Cursed by Thomas Wheeler with illustrations by Frank Miller. This is actually the Booksplosion book of the month for the month of November, and our live show is going to be on December 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on our Booksplosion channel. If this book sounds interesting to you, then pick it up, read it, and join us. This story is about a girl whose village ends up getting murdered, and even though our main character was kind of on the outskirts of her village and really didn't get along with the people of her village, she decides that she's going to figure out a way to avenge their deaths. And she kind of feels like her life is cursed. Cursed? Her life is cursed. Cursed. I mean, when you come home to your village and find that your whole village has been slaughtered, yeah, I think that my life was cursed as well. So she sets out on this mission to target the people who have killed her people. It's the story of revenge, but it's also about our main character discovering the truth of their destiny. This book is a retelling of King Arthur, and it's full of glorious illustrations, and it's also set to be a Netflix series. So I'm really looking forward to reading this book and discussing it with the Booksplosion crew and with those of you who join us. The next segment we have is Fake or True. This is a new segment that I thought up. I went over on my Instagram and asked you guys to submit fake titles and real titles, and I had to figure out which ones are fake and which ones are true. I didn't do a very good job on the signs this time, so we're just gonna ignore how horrific they are, okay? Sound like a good idea? Sounds like a good idea to me. Let's get started. I've got Amazon pulled up over here because we all know that their search engine is better than Goodreads search engine, which is a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. But really, Goodreads, you're a platform for books, and yet your search engine can't find any books. Make it make sense. Also, can we talk about the fact that Amazon owns Goodreads and their search engine is still super janky? Anyway, let's get started. The first title is The Punishment She Deserves. Ooh, I hope this is not a real title. It doesn't sound like that great of a title. Kind of makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I'm calling fake. Let's look it up. It's a book. What did she do to deserve punishment? It must have been bad to the bone. Next. Ooh, that one flung out. We'll just go with it. A Clockwork Dynasty. You see, this sounds like a legitimate title, but I feel like that's kind of where the trick is coming in. Like they were like, let's be tricky McTricksterson and put in this title that sounds real but isn't actually real. So I'm gonna play it safe and call it fake. Let's look it up. It's real! Ooh, and it's got a dope cover. Dang. But I also hate that this is a real book because that means I lost. You guys are winning, I'm losing. Next. The House of Farewells. This sounds like a real book title, and it honestly sounds like it's a book that deals with the topic that I love reading about. Death! So if this isn't a book about death, I'll be stunned. I'll be shook. So I'm gonna call this a true title. The House of Farewells. No. It's not a real book! Dang it! Y'all are winning by 3 points now. I don't know how to feel about this, but somebody needs to title their book that. That's a great book title. Snatch that right up before I do. Next. The Boy Who Cried Fake. Why is this title so fitting for me right now? The Boy Who Cried Fake. It me! But I'm also gonna call fake on this one because it just doesn't sound like a real book title to me. I'll be really surprised if this is a real book title, so please don't be a real book title. It doesn't seem to be a real book. Cha-ching, cha-ching. I got it righty-tighty. Moving on. This one is called We the Drowned. I feel like I've seen this book in stores. I feel like it has like this really intricately detailed cover, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I'm gonna say true. I was right. I have seen this book in stores because I always admire how beautiful it is, but then I see how big it is, I think, and I'm like, nope, not happening. Frogs and French Kisses. This kind of sounds like one of those Georgia Nicholson books. I've never read one of those books, but it kind of has a similar vibe to those book titles. So I'm just gonna say that it's true. It seems like it could just be one of those really quirky titles. Bada bing, bada boom. It's true. Ding, ding, ding. I'm a winner. Actually, I'm not a winner yet. Okay, let's do one more to have a tiebreaker here. It all comes down to this. This title is Eating People is Wrong. I feel like this is a real title. It's like just absurd enough, attention grabbing enough to be a real real title. So I'm gonna say it's true. Will I be wrong? Probably, but let's find out. Oh, it's a book. It's a super old book, it looks like. Like the Amazon listing is just like a picture of an old book, so interesting. The next segment is haiku book pitches. I went over to my bookshelves, spun around blindfolded in front of them, which I would not recommend. It's not that fun. Oh. Oops. Okay. 1. Oh, I'm dizzy. Another one. I'm about to bite the dust. This would be helpful if somebody was here to watch me while I spun so I didn't run into anything, but I'm alone! Forever alone! Holy frick, I don't like the way that feels. Give me bucket. Well, that was not fun. I have many regrets. I picked out 3 books and I'm gonna have to pitch them to you in haiku format. First up, we've got Shadow of the Fox. I now present to you my haiku book pitch for this book. Snaps, please. A wish is granted. With their hands on the scroll of 1,000 prayers. That was awful. 2 out of 5 stars for that book pitch. Next up, we've got A Shadow Bright and Burning. Snaps, please. Watch me burst into flames before your eyes. Train me. Fight me, betray me. Just as bad as the first one, 2 out of 5 stars. I'm trying to give Apollo a run for his money, but it ain't working. I ain't got nothing on Apollo. Lastly, we have This Adventure Ends. Snaps, please. My finger is hurting from snapping so hard. Anyway, Unexpected Friends. Ow, my fingers. That's not a part of the haiku. A lost painting she must find. I'm gonna use these fingers. Again, that was not a part of the haiku. Neither was that. Leads to adventure. You know, that one was not so bad. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Still not good enough though. That's it for episode 3 of Bookstorm. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments if you guys have any ideas for segments that you want to see in the future. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright and that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye. Oh.